today we're going to be replacing the spark plugs on my 2011 Mitsubishi Lancer. I'll start with locating them. They are right here underneath this panel. So I just ran the car. We can let the car sit and let it cool down. Before I'm going to do any work on my spark plugs, I'm going to disconnect my negative battery terminal. I'm just doing that as I feel safe. I don't think it's necessary, but I'm going to do it anyways. So I stopped at the local Advanced Auto Parts and found these laser iridium NGK spark plugs. So that's what we're using. There's 4 of them. I paid like 90 bucks for these, so they're not cheap. They're expensive. Thankfully, it does tell us the gap in the owner's manual. It's on page 9.8. You can see here that I'm using a 2-liter, no turbocharger. So here, and it is, the gap is right there. So that's the gapping. There's the NGK, the type. So that fits on there nice and snug. So that's how we'll take those off. And then once the engines cool down all the way, which in this cold weather it should cool down pretty quickly, we can go ahead and take the top panel off and we can start replacing the spark plug. So when we go to pull this off, I'm going to make sure and inspect the inside to make sure there's no dirt or debris in there. I don't really have a cordless anything to blow air or suck air out of this or vacuum if there's any dirt. But I did grab a microfiber towel to help me clean up around this, just in case. And I'm going to take a look in there and see what we can find in a moment. I guess while I'm waiting for the engine to cool down, I'm going to go ahead and check the gapping on my spark plugs using the little gapper in the measurement. In this case, it is inches, so 0.40 inches, or sorry, 0.040 inches to 0.043 inches. So now let's go ahead and see what I can find here. I'm going to go ahead and pull out and check each of these spark plugs. Camera will come in focus, I doubt it. Oh, it kind of did. Very careful. It's in between 0.040 and 0.045. Looks like it's about the 3.5 mark. Looks like it's a little bit over 0.043. I don't know how particular it's going to be, so I might push it in just ever so slightly here. I can just go ahead and put this on a hard surface and push down it just a little bit, just a teeny bit. So I pushed on it just a little bit, so I'm going to go ahead and remeasure. We went down 0.042 roughly, right there. So it's about where we want it. That one is good. We did have to move it a little bit, so we checked that one. I'm going to put it back in the box and go ahead and check the next one. 3, is that 3? Right on 3. So that one should be okay. Alright, it looks like the engine's pretty cool, so I'm going to go ahead and remove these little bolts. I got the first one removed here. It was a little rusty, so I'm probably going to clean that off with some WD-40 and sandpaper. Go ahead and do that. So remove the other ones. And you can do them by hand here. There's another one. And the last one, there's 3. They're not on there very tight. I guess they don't need to be, so there's the last one. Let's go ahead and remove this panel. So where spark plugs are. So it looks like we got to take off this bolt here, and then once we take this off, we got to remove this harness and this, and there's 4 of them. We'll do one at a time, and I don't really see a whole lot of dirt down there, so I feel pretty safe not worrying about dirt getting in there in where the spark plugs go. And it's not snowing or raining, so nothing's going to fly into that. So I'm going to go ahead. It looks like they're the same size too. So I don't even need to... Same size, right? Yep, same size. Let's go ahead and remove this. Then do it by hand. I'm going to be careful to keep an eye on to make sure nothing gets in there. Obviously I don't want anything falling in there. There we go. Just press the little clip on top right there. Press it down and then pull it out. Be gentle, try to be gentle. I don't want to damage these. Pull this off. Comes out. So now we need to pull the spark plug out. I'm going to set the boot somewhere ratcheting left to right correctly, and go ahead and put that down in there, and go ahead and pop it out. There we go. There's our spark plug. And now we can go ahead and compare. Okay, well, good thing I don't need that anymore. Really? Alright, well, let's see if we can compare the old and the new. So I'm going to go ahead and carefully grab the new one. So you can see this old one is pretty rusted. You know what I do notice though, is that the ceramic at the bottom is fine. There's a little bit of that corrosion there. But I do notice that the electrode on this one is definitely started to wear away. The camera really doesn't like me bringing it in close. It's really hard to see. Come on, camera, focus a little bit closer. Is it gonna let me? Is it gonna let me? Oh, it doesn't want to. It's being a butt. Well, there's corrosion on there, and the electrodes are worn down a little bit, so that's definitely makes a lot of sense why fuel economy went down. So that makes sense. So this old one is part of the reason. So I'm gonna go ahead and set this back over here, because what we're gonna do is put a new one in. Yay, new one! So I'm gonna grab my extension with my socket on there, and do it by hand first. And yeah, there's nothing. It's all nice and clean in there, so that's good. Grab a new one out of the box. Go ahead and pop it in there, make sure it's nice and snug, and I'm not going to bother putting any dielectric grease. I think we'll be fine. So go ahead and put the new one in and screw it in. Okay, so I went ahead and put the other spark plug back in there. I went ahead and tightened it down just like a little bit, torqued it down after I did it by hand, just to make sure, you know, it doesn't like fly out or anything. That would be bad. So it should be in there nice and snug. I felt like the person who put them in there last time, or when they came out of the factory, they were a little bit too tight. So then now we got the spark plug down in there. We got our connector, put that back on, and the bolt. And we can go ahead and tighten that down. Tighten it by hand. So that's one, and then you just do that for the other 4. And that's pretty much it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Just do the other 4.